Good morning and Jai Hind students. Now we are going to focus our study in this class particularly on the Persian language. Now students, here we shall see that why did Persian was much emphasized or much preferred by the Mughal rulers. Understand? First students, we know very well that during the Sultanate period and the sultans now preferred the Persian language. Understand? Or Persian was the court language of the sultans, Delhi sultans, or administration of the language, all the works, administrative jobs, administrative transactions, administrative writings and reports were done and they written into the Persian language. Understand? And we have seen also that the writers, understand, who wrote their tawarikh or their tarikh in the Persian language, as you know very well. Now the just the Minhaj Shiraz, who had written the Muntakab, now who had written the Tabqat-e Nashri, understand, composed the Tabqat-e Nashri, which now includes the history from the rise of Islam to the history of the Balban. This Tabqat-e Nashri, one of the wonderful books and the very original work by the Minhaj Siraj, written in the Persian language. Now students, one of the most prominent historians of the Sultanates and the Delhi Sultans, who now Delhi Sultans was the Ziauddin Barani. We know very well that he wrote the Tarikh-e-Firoz Shahi and the Fatwa-e Jahdari into the Persian language. In the Persian, although he had now compiled and wrote the 33 works he had, but amongst these works, these two works were very prominent. Understand? Now he wrote, and now he very long, right from the Balban till the Firoz Shah Tughlaq, 6 years of the death of the Firoz Shah Tughlaq, he now composed and kept on the writing. And now students, and Shams Siraj, understand, Afif, who had written the Tarikh-e-Firoz Shahi, also his work's name is written in the Persian language. So the Persian language was enriched or they written during the sultans. But we know that the Mughals who now came to the India, or they had their mother and the original language. They had the Turkey was their original language. Understand? But even then, the Mughals now adopted or emphasized the Persian language, and the most and hugely influenced by the Persian culture. Mughal court was because the Mughal court was the dominant by the Iranians or the Persians. Understand? So they dominated in the Mughal court. Students, so now here chronicles, all the entire chronicles written during the Mughals period, written into the Persian, or moreover, along with this Persian, all the other writings were done in the local language, or as well as especially the Hindi was the very Hindi was prevalent in the different parts of our country, and moreover, and with its or with its regional variant. Understand? Regionally, Hindi was variant, but it was the used in far and wide in our country, and especially as the Mughals were the Chagtai Turk. Now they were not a descendant of the or they were not belonging particularly from the Changiz Khan. Changiz Khan, understand? Now the Babur, although the Babur mother belonged to the fifth generation of the Changiz Khan. Changiz Khan, her mother belonged to the Changiz Khan family. Understand? And the Babur was the Timurids. Timurids. Understand? And Babur was Timurids, and we know very well the Mughals were, but they were called as the Timurid. Timurids, Babur was Timurid, but he was called named. This dynasty was named as the Mughals, but they were. This term was given by the British writers. Understand? Who composed and who were very interested in the knowing the history of the India or particularly. So here we see that now they were the Chagtai Turk. Now the Chagtai, who was the Chagtai? Chagtai was the Changiz Khan, one of the son of the Changiz Khan, and these the Baburs and his family had come from the Chagtai, from those area, from those territories which were under the control of the Chagtai. So that's why they called as the Chagtai Turk. But although actually they were not Chagtai or the Mongol, no, they were actually the Timurids. Understand? So the Chagtai and these their original or the mother language was the Turkish. Turkey was their Turkish was their mother language, and we know that Tujhke Babri, it was written autobiography which was written by the Babur. Understand? And the Babur, and this was in the Turkey language. It was the written the first Baburs now, and moreover the Babur also composed the many poetries, and he had the intellectual bent, and that's why he was now he devoted his much time in the writings and the composition. But the now students following the and the now Gulbatan Begum, who wrote the Humayun Nama. Understand? Very prominent just the compositions he wrote, and moreover the Akbar, who consciously set out to make the Persian leading language in the Mughals. Although Persian, the Akbar was very much inclined towards the Persian language, or he Akbar, now we know very well that he wanted to create a national character of the writings, a national, or he wanted the assimilation of the culture, assimilation of the architecture or the structure into the Indo-Islamic or the variant or the different cultures written in the now that was the different designs and styles used in the structure, singing, dance, or in all spheres. Akbar wanted the assimilation of the Indo-Islamic assimilation, and moreover, okay, and wanted to create. He wanted to synthesize, wanted to assimilate the both cultures and give a form of the national culture. He wanted to create, understand, and wanted to. Akbar wanted to become a national figure or the national king, and that will he is called as the national kings by the many of the historians of the medieval India. And moreover, the here now one thing is that why the Persian became the dominant in the Mughal court, this language. Now, if you look back to the history of the Humayun, what happened with the Humayun? when the Humayun was defeated by the Sher Shah Shuri. Understand? First in the battle of the Chaushar, then after in the battles of the uh, Dharmat, in the other battles he was defeated 2 or 3 times. Then after he was forced to leave the India, although he took the shelter in the Rajasthan. Understand? But he was forced from there. He has to leave India and took the shelter in the court of the Shah of the Persia. And Persian Shah now gave him the shelter and gave him refuge. Understand, on the conditions that he would be converted into the Shia. Although they were the Sunni Muslims, but he accepted or converted himself into the Shia. And we know very well that the Humayun again, with the help of the Shah of the Persia, he got recaptured in the 1555. He recaptured the Delhi. Understand? Or after the recapitulation of the Delhi, okay. But unfortunately, after the 1 year in the 1556, while he was now getting down from the library, his now feet tumbled. Understand? He tumbled, and then after what happened? Now he, on the spot, he got the death. It was unfortunate, and the Akbar now became the. Now he was ascended on the throne. Akbar was, and then after the Akbar appeared, so when the Humayun came to the India, large number of the Persians, understand, seeking or the in quest of the opportunities, in quest of the jobs or employment at the Mughal court, they accompanied the Humayun from the Persia. Large number of them, and since then, the Persians now continue to migrate from the Persia to the India at the Akbar's court, and that was the reasons that in the Akbar's courts, the Persians became the very dominant. Their culture became the very dominant, and they had the great influence over the rulers and over the elites in the Darbar. Okay, so that may be the reason that a stream of the Persian were streaming into the India, and might have the motivated emperor, and this might have motivated the emperor Akbar. Understand? Akbar to adopt the Persian as the administrative language, as the language of the communication, as this, and moreover, now the Persians was elevated to the language of the empire. One thing is that now with the help of the Akbar or a patron of the Akbar, the Persian was this language was made the language of the empire, conferring the power. Now this language became the power. Understand? Power, and moreover, prestige on those who were the well versed in the Persian language. They were given the power, respect, and prestige in the empire. Understand? And they were given and awarded the respect or the prestige in the empire, or moreover had the commanding of it spoken, or this language was now used very rampantly, or these were used by the kings and the emperors, or all the households of the emperors used the Persian language. Moreover, and the courtiers, entire courtiers of the Akbar, understand, households of the Mughals, households, Akbar, elites, understand, and the ruling class group, or the aristocratic groups, they started started using the Persian language, and this process, no doubt, or moreover, further at the all levels in the administrative dealings or the administrative reportings, or the writings, the Persians began to be the used or accountants, and moreover the clerks or other functionaries also must have to be the learned Persian, had to learn the Persian. Why? To get the opportunity of the job in the Mughal administration or the Mughal court. Persian became the very compulsory for getting the job in the Mughal court. Understand? So, students, the Persian language now thus the became the very dominant. But the one thing is that in the further, if you study that, assimilation of the Persian or the what the influence the Persian influence the other language or the local variant language, or Persian was also influenced the language. So here you see even the Persian was not directly used. One thing is that Persian was not directly used. Its vocabulary or the idioms heavily influenced the language of the official record. Although Persian was not directly used in the Rajasthan, because the Rajasthan had not been the completely under the control of the Mughals, and moreover we can see or in the Maratha where the Persian was not directly used or influenced, or the Tamil area where the Mughals had no control over these Tamil areas. In the, okay, even then the Persians words and the idioms and the phrases and the words now influence in the Rajasthan or the Marathas area, or as well as in Tamils area. Understand? So now we can see that it's had the very great impact on the common man's life in the empires. Understand? And moreover, student, and on the other hand, understand, the many of those who were the working in the Mughal court, understand, they had came from the different zones and the parts of the continents, subcontinents. They had come from the different parts and the different zones of subcontinents. And here the regions subcontinents, other language Persian too became the Indianized. Now that this people, those peoples who had come from the different parts of the subcontinent with their own original languages, they began to influence the Persian language. Understand? Or moreover, students, or they in this way or by this assimilation, the Persian also began to be the Indianized by absorbing the local idioms. Okay, local idioms and phrases were absorbed by the Persians. So a assimilation or a interactions between the different languages the Persians now for enrich this language much. And moreover, students, a new language Urdu, now Hindi plus Persian is equal to Urdu. So now this admixture of the Hindi and the Persians now gave birth and gave the form of a new language that was called as the Urdu language. Understand? The Urdu also enriched and now born with the admixture of these two languages. Further, students, now Mughal officials or the historians as Akbarnama written in the Persian. Now that we know very well that Abul Fazl, who was a celebrated courtiers or as well as the celebrated writers, history writers under the court of the Akbar, a commission writer who composed the now the two compositions, now the Ain Akbari or as well as the Akbarnama. And these two books are the very much important for the knowing the source of the Mughals. All aspects of the Mughals, whether the dance, drama, architecture, religion, or administrations, in all parts, one can know and get the information about the Mughals. Understand? Now the huge information we find, these were the written in the Persian language. Now Nizamuddin Ahmad and other writers who wrote took writings in the Persian, or now other writers, one of the Muntakaba ut Tawarik. Understand? Muntakaba ut Tawarik. Abdul Qadir Badaini, who had written this book. Understand? So now they wrote in this Persian language. All their writings, they were celebrated writers in the court of the Akbar. Okay, and moreover, Tariq into the Babar, and then after the Tujhke Babri was, which was in the Turki language originally, or it was translated into the Persian language. Understand? And then after, this was named as a Babarnama. In the Persian, this is called the Babarnama, or in Turkey, this is called the Tujhke Babri. Understand? So now this Babarnama, or the more other Sanskrit translation, a huge, now you know that a huge translation department has been established by the Akbar to translate all the books, Sanskrit books, into the Persian language. So the Akbar wanted to create the exchange or interaction amongst the all language together and create a national language or the national character of the intellects. So under this, or now in the process, Abdul Qadir Badani, now who translated the Sanskrit Mahabharata from Sanskrit into the Persian, and as it is known as the Rajmanama. Mahabharata, this was translated into the Persian language and called as the Rajmanama. It was the name as the Rajmanama, Book of Wars. Okay, and the others books also, the other texts were, the Sanskrit texts were translated into the Persian language. Okay, and now one thing is that, students, how a manuscript is prepared. Manu means the hand. Manu means the now the hand, or the script means the written. The manuscripts, those which were written originally by the man, not printed, written. This is called the manuscripts, or these manuscripts were the handwritten. All books were manuscripts. The center of the manuscript production was the Imperial Kitab Khana. Now there was Akbar had established a Kitab Khana. Understand? Where all books were produced. That is in the Kitab Khana, entire books were produced there, or in a process manner. Many of the workers and they were now working together. Understand? Many of the workers and the many parts of books and manuscript was composed by the different section of the people. Okay. Now the first, this Kitab Khana can be translated as a library. We can say a term as a library, or it was a scriptorium. This Kitab Khana can be called as a scriptorium. Understand? Or the library, or the Kitab Khana, or that the place where the emperor's collection of the manuscript was kept. Emperors, those which were meant for the emperors, written for the emperors, were the stored or the kept there, and new manuscripts were produced. So in the scriptorium was there, just as a library. Writings were now written, kept there. Understand? Or preserved there in the scriptorium. This was and moreover, students, now we can see that the making of the library here, or the creation of the manuscripts involved. One thing is that these manuscripts involve a number of pass through a number of many of the processes pass through, or these were the contributed or the written and the performed by the or accomplished by the different people of the different jobs. First of all, a number of peoples performing variety of tasks. First, paper makers were needed to prepare a folios. Paper makers were needed to prepare a folios of the manuscript. First thing. Second thing is that scribes or calligraphers. Second work job to copy the text. Scribes or calligraphers copied the text, or the gilders to illuminate the pages. The gilders, they illuminated the pages, or painters who were particularly now performed the jobs of illustrated the scenes from the text. They illustrated the scenes from the text. Bookbinders now gathered the individual folios. Understand, bookbinders gathered the individual folio and set them within ornamental covers. Covers were very ornamental and decorated or luminous. So in these ornamental covers, these folios were set by the bookbinder. Understand? And particularly the finished manuscript was seen, or as this finished manuscript script was ended, is finishing, this was known as a precious object, a very precious, or now a work of intellectual wealth, intellectual asset. These works were supposed to be the and very beautiful. Moreover, it is the exemplified the power of the patrons, and these composition and the work exemplified the authority, the power, or the impression of the patrons, means the emperors. Understand? Emperors, whose emperor to bring such beauty into the being, and he was credited with the bring such a beauty. Emperor was credited because he was a patron. Understand? And he was given all the credits. And moreover, students, at the same time, some people involved in the actual production of the manuscript also got the recognition. Some of the people who also got the recognitions, they were respected or rewarded also. Or now manuscript got the awards of these calligraphers and the painters. Calligraphers or the painters used to get the awards and the titles given the entitled by the emperors, and of these calligraphers held a very high social standing. Calligraphers or the painters got the high standing in the society, high respect and regard in the society, or the status in the society, while the others, those who were at a very lowest strata, or they were the working paper makers of the paper makers or bookbinder, have remained anonymous artisans, not known. Understand? They were missing. Understand? So now here only the somewhere the celebrated, but the actual the work that peoples were doing were the avoided, or they were not celebrated anyway. Okay. Moreover, the calligraphy. What is the calligraphy? Students, about the calligraphy we said now. We shall discuss later on. It is the art of good writing. Understand? Our time is going to be the up. Okay. So in the next class I shall mention about the painted image or calligraphy. A very short in a briefing I will just discuss, and then after the painted image during the Mughals, what was the standard of the painting, what kind of the painting. Understand? These all shall be the discussed in the later periods. Understand? Thank you very much for attending the class. Okay.